2 years was supposed to be long enough to get over someone, or at least, that's what Junwoo kept telling himself. But there she was, Camila, looking tired and beautiful, and surrounded by 3 little kids who shared his dark eyes. His brain did the math real quick, and the answer made his knees go weak. This journey will remind you that admitting you were wrong is the first step to making things right. And that family is something you build, not just something you're born into. Smash that like button if you're ready for the emotions, and subscribe for more stories that hit different. The autumn air in Austin felt different today. Colder maybe, or maybe it was just Junwoo's mood turning everything gray. He walked beside Claire, his fiancée of 3 months, her diamond ring catching the sunlight that filtered through the oak trees lining Zllker Park. She was talking about wedding venues again, something about a botanical garden in Houston, but his mind kept drifting. "Are you even listening?" Claire asked, her voice sharp. "Yeah, botanical garden," Junwoo said, forcing a smile. "Sounds good." Claire sighed, tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. "You've been distant all week. Is it work?" "Work. Right." That was easier than the truth. Junwoo ran his family's tech company in downtown Austin, and yeah, the merger talks were stressful, but that wasn't what kept him up at night. "Just thinking about the quarterly reports," he lied smoothly. They kept walking, past joggers and families with strollers, past the dog park where golden retrievers chased tennis balls. That's when he saw her, Camila. She stood near the playground, her dark skin glowing in the October sun, wearing jeans and a yellow sweater that he remembered buying her 2 years ago. But that wasn't what made his heart stop. No, it was the 3 toddlers running circles around her legs, all of them with her bright smile and his eyes. Dark hair with that slight wave he saw in the mirror every morning. The same nose, the same everything. His feet stopped moving. "Junwoo?" Claire tugged his arm. "What's wrong?" But he couldn't answer, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Because one of the little boys had just fallen, scraped his knee, and Camila was kneeling down, pressing a kiss to his forehead exactly the way she used to comfort Junwoo after his long, terrible days at the office. The boy looked exactly like him at that age. He'd seen the photos. His mother had albums full of them. "Those kids," he started, his voice barely working. Camila's head turned. Their eyes met across 30 feet of grass and wood chips, and everything came rushing back. The late nights in his office when she'd worked as his assistant. The way she laughed at his terrible jokes. The fight they'd had about his family, about how his mother would never accept her, about how he'd been too weak to stand up for what they had. The morning she'd quit and disappeared, leaving only a resignation letter on his desk and a hole in his chest. 2 years. She'd been gone 2 years. And now she had 3 kids who looked exactly like him. "I need to..." Junwoo pulled away from Claire, his legs moving before his brain caught up. "Need to what?" Claire's voice rose. "Junwoo, what's going on?" But he was already walking toward the playground, toward Camila, toward those 3 little faces that couldn't possibly be a coincidence. She saw him coming and straightened up, pulling the crying boy into her arms protectively. The other 2 toddlers, a girl and another boy, clutched at her legs. "Camila," he said when he got close enough. "Junwoo." Her voice was different now. Harder, tired. Beautiful still, but guarded in a way it never used to be. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing." His eyes dropped to the kids. Up close there was no doubt. They had to be, 18 months old? Maybe 20? His mind raced, calculating backwards. "Camila, are they..." "No," she said quickly. Too quickly. "We're just visiting. We live in Denver now." "Denver?" That hurt worse than it should have. She'd moved states away. How long have you? 2 years. She shifted the boy on her hip. Look, this isn't a good time. The kids need lunch and… Junwoo! Claire's voice cut through the park. She was storming toward them, her heels sinking into the grass with each angry step. What the hell is this? Camila's eyes widened slightly. Your fiancé, I'm guessing? Congratulations. The word tasted like poison in his mouth. Claire, this is… I don't care who she is, Claire snapped, grabbing his arm. We're leaving. Now. But Junwoo couldn't move. Couldn't stop staring at the little girl who was hiding behind Camila's leg, peeking out at him with curious dark eyes. She had a small birthmark on her left cheek, same place as his father, same shape. How old are they? He asked, his throat tight. That's none of your business, Camila said, backing away. We should go. Come on, babies. She turned, gathering the other 2 children with practiced ease, and started walking toward the parking lot. The little boy she was carrying looked back over her shoulder at Junwoo, and something in his chest cracked clean open. Camila, wait! He tried to follow, but Claire's grip tightened. Let her go, Claire hissed. You're making a scene. Those kids… Claire, those kids look exactly like me. So what? Lots of mixed kids look similar. You're being paranoid. But her voice had that edge that meant she'd noticed too. Is she some ex of yours? Junwoo watched Camila buckle 3 car seats into a silver SUV, her movements quick and efficient. She didn't look back. Didn't give him another glance. Just drove away, taking those 3 pieces of his heart with her. Yeah, he said quietly. She's my ex. And you think… Claire's face went pale. You think those are your kids? I don't think. I know. He pulled out his phone, hands shaking. I need to call my lawyer, You need to calm down, Claire said. But she sounded scared now. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe. But Junwoo knew his own eyes when he saw them, knew his own face. Those were his children. 3 of them. And Camila had kept them from him for nearly 2 years. The anger came then, hot and sharp. How could she? How could she just disappear, pregnant with his babies, and never tell him? Never give him a chance? He dialed Camila's old number, the one he'd never deleted from his contacts despite everything. It went straight to voicemail. Same message as always, her warm voice asking him to leave a message. Camila, it's me, he said after the beep. We need to talk. Those kids, if they're mine, and I think we both know they are, you can't just run away again. Call me back. Please. He hung up and immediately called his lawyer, David, who picked up on the 3rd ring. Junwoo, it's Saturday, David groaned. This better be important. I just saw my ex. She has triplets. They're mine. A pause. You're sure? Positive. I need to know my rights. If she's been hiding my kids from me… Slow down, David said, his voice shifting into professional mode. First, we need proof. Then we need to figure out if she's filed for custody or child support. Have you tried talking to her? She drove off. Won't answer her phone. Okay. Give me her full name and I'll start digging. But Junwoo, this could get messy. Real messy. Especially if… I don't care, Junwoo interrupted. Those are my kids. I want to know them. What about your fiancé? Junwoo looked at Claire, who was standing a few feet away with her arms crossed, looking equal parts furious and terrified. I'll handle it, he said, though he had no idea how. When he hung up, Claire walked over slowly. So what now? You're just going to chase after some ex and her kids? What about us? What about our wedding? Claire, if those are my children… If, she emphasized. You don't even know for sure. I know. He met her eyes. Trust me, I know. She laughed, but it sounded bitter. This is insane. We're supposed to be planning our future together, and you're obsessing over some woman from your past. It's not about Camila, he said, though that wasn't entirely true. Seeing her again had brought back everything. The way she used to bring him coffee exactly how he liked it. The way she'd laugh at his stress and somehow make it lighter. The way she'd fit against his chest like she was made for him. It's about those kids. If I'm their father, they deserve to know me. And if they are yours? Claire asked quietly. What does that mean for us? Junwoo didn't have an answer. His phone buzzed, a text from his mother. Dinner tomorrow. Don't be late, bringing Claire. Perfect. Just what he needed. His mother had barely accepted his engagement to Claire, a wealthy white woman from a good family in Boston. What would she say about 3 mixed grandchildren she'd never met? Grandchildren from the woman she'd practically chased out of his life? We should go, he said tiredly. They walked back to his car in silence. Claire got in without a word, staring out the window as he drove. The ring on her finger caught the light again, and Junwoo felt something twist in his gut. He'd proposed to her 4 months after Camila left. His mother had approved, his board had approved. Everyone said Claire was perfect for him. Smart, beautiful, from the right background. But she wasn't Camila. When they reached Claire's apartment in downtown Austin, she turned to him before getting out. I need some time to think, she said. About what? About whether I can handle this? About whether I want to marry a man who's clearly still in love with someone else. I'm not. But the lie died on his tongue. Claire, it's complicated. No, it's really not. She opened the door. You either want to marry me or you don't. Figure it out. She slammed the door and walked into her building without looking back. Junwoo sat in his car for a long time, his head against the steering wheel, trying to make sense of the past hour. His phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Junwoo. Camila's voice, softer now. We should talk. His heart jumped. Yes. When? Where? Tomorrow, but not here. I'm staying with my aunt in Round Rock. There's a coffee shop on Main Street, the one with the blue awning. 2 o'clock. I'll be there, he said quickly. Camila, those kids. Tomorrow, she said firmly, and hung up. Junwoo drove home to his penthouse overlooking Lady Bird Lake, but sleep didn't come easy. He kept seeing those 3 little faces. Kept imagining what the past 2 years might have been like if he'd known. First steps. First words. First everything. She'd stolen that from him. But maybe he'd driven her away. Maybe his weakness, his inability to stand up to his mother, to fight for what they had pushed her into running. The fight they'd had the week before she quit played on repeat in his mind. Your mother called me trash today, Camila had said, tears streaming down her face. Right to my face. Said I was using you for money. She doesn't mean it, Junwoo had replied, exhausted from a 16-hour workday. She's just protective. Protective? Junwoo, she told me to leave you alone. Said you'd never marry someone like me. Someone like you? You know what she meant. Black. Poor. From Uganda and not whatever perfect Korean family she has planned for you. That's not fair. Isn't it? Camila had shouted. When was the last time you told her to back off? When was the last time you chose me over keeping her happy? He hadn't had an answer then either. The next morning, Junwoo woke up to 17 missed calls. 3 from Claire, 6 from his mother, 8 from David, his lawyer. He called David back first. I found her, David said without preamble. Camila Nabwire lives in Denver, Colorado, works remotely as a graphic designer. And yeah, she has 3 kids. Birth certificates list father as unknown. Unknown. Like he didn't exist. Can I contest that? You can request a paternity test. If they're yours, you can petition for custody rights, visitation, whatever you want. But Junwoo, this won't be cheap, and it won't be easy. She's been their sole guardian for their entire lives. Courts usually favor the mother in these situations. I don't care about easy, Junwoo said. I care about my kids. After hanging up with David, he called his mother back. Where were you yesterday? She demanded. Claire called me crying. I ran into someone, he said carefully. Someone. Junwoo, your fiancé is upset. Fix it. I need to tell you something. He took a breath. I saw Camila yesterday. Silence, then. That girl? The one who quit? She has 3 children. They're mine. The silence stretched longer this time. When his mother spoke again, her voice was ice. You're lying. I'm not. I saw them. They look exactly like me at that age. So what? You're going to throw away your future for some woman who clearly trapped you? She didn't trap me, Junwoo said, anger rising. And they're your grandchildren. Grandchildren? His mother laughed sharply. I have no grandchildren, not from that woman. Whatever children she has are her problem, not yours. Fix things with Claire. Forget about this girl and her babies. Do you understand me? She hung up. Junwoo stared at his phone, old resentment bubbling up. This was exactly why Camila had left. Exactly why she'd probably hidden the pregnancy from him. Because his family would never accept her. Never accept their children. But that was going to change. At 1:30, he drove to Round Rock, a suburb just north of Austin. The coffee shop Camila had mentioned was small and cozy, with local art on the walls and the smell of fresh pastries. He arrived early, ordered an Americano he didn't drink, and waited. She walked in at exactly 2 o'clock, alone this time. She wore a simple green dress and flats, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked tired. Beautiful, but tired in a way that made his chest ache. Hi, she said, sliding into the seat across from him. Hi. He didn't know what else to say. Where are the kids? With my aunt. They're napping. She folded her hands on the table. Look, I know you have questions. Are they mine? He interrupted. Camila closed her eyes. Yes. The world tilted. Even though he'd known with every fiber of his being, hearing her confirm it out loud hit differently. Why didn't you tell me? His voice cracked. Why did you just disappear? Because. She opened her eyes and they were wet. Because your mother made it very clear I wasn't welcome in your life. Because you never defended me, not once. Because I couldn't raise my babies in an environment where they'd be treated like they didn't belong. So you just left? You just took them away from me? You didn't even know they existed, she shot back. I found out I was pregnant a week after I quit. I thought about telling you, I really did. But then your mom called me. Told me you were already moving on. Told me to stay away. And I couldn't do it, Junwoo. I couldn't be your dirty secret. You were never. Wasn't I? Her voice rose, drawing looks from other customers. She lowered it. Your mother called me trash. Your friends looked at me like I was your midlife crisis. And you let them. You never once told anyone that what we had was real. It was real to me, he said desperately. Not real enough. She wiped her eyes. Look, I didn't come here to fight. I came to tell you that yes, you're their father. And if you want to be part of their lives, we can figure something out. But I'm not moving back to Austin. I have a life in Denver. A good life. I want to meet them, Junwoo said. Properly. I want to know their names, their birthdays, everything. Camila hesitated, then pulled out her phone. She scrolled through photos and turned the screen toward him. 3 babies in matching blue onesies, tiny and perfect. This was the day they were born, June 15th, 2 years ago. 8 weeks early, they spent a month in the NICU. Her voice shook. I was alone for all of it. My aunt flew in when she could, but mostly it was just me, watching them fight to breathe through tubes and wires. Junwoo's throat closed up. Camila, I didn't know. I know you didn't. But that doesn't change what happened. She swiped to the next photo. This is Keon. He was born first. He's the quiet one, loves books and building blocks. The little boy from the playground, the one who'd fallen. Junwoo's son. This is Ayana. She's the troublemaker. Climbing everything, getting into everything. The little girl with his father's birthmark. And this is Kai. He's the gentle one. Loves music and cuddles. 3 names. 3 personalities. 3 whole people he'd missed knowing. They're beautiful, he whispered. They are. Camila put her phone away. And they deserve a father who's going to show up. Not just now when it's convenient, but always. Can you promise me that? Yes, he said without hesitation. I want to be there. For everything. Even if it means standing up to your mother? Your fiancé? He flinched. Claire and I. It's complicated. It's not complicated, Junwoo. Either you choose them or you don't. But I won't let you half commit to my babies. They deserve better than that. Our babies, he corrected quietly. She looked at him for a long moment. Maybe. But right now, you're still a stranger to them. You have to earn the right to be their father. Then let me try. He reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. Please. Give me a chance. Camila studied his face, searching for something. Finally, she nodded. Okay. But we do this my way. Slowly. You come to Denver. Spend time with them in a safe environment. No pressure, no big declarations. Just getting to know them. When? I fly back Tuesday. You can come next weekend if you're serious. I'm serious, he said firmly. We'll see. She stood up. I should get back. The kids will be up soon. Camila, wait. He stood too. I'm sorry. For everything. For not being strong enough back then. For letting my mother chase you away. For missing the past 2 years. I'm so sorry. Her expression softened slightly. I'm sorry too. For not telling you about the pregnancy. For assuming the worst. Maybe we both made mistakes. She left before he could respond, and Junwoo sat back down heavily. His coffee had gone cold. His phone buzzed with another text from Claire. We need to talk. He drove back to Austin in a daze, his mind full of Keon, Ayana, and Kai, his children, his family. When he got home, he found Claire, waiting in his lobby. We need to talk, she repeated in person. They went up to his penthouse. She sat on his couch, the same couch where he'd once held Camila during late-night movies, and folded her hands in her lap. I talked to my mother, Claire began. She thinks I should call off the engagement. Junwoo should have felt something. Panic, maybe, or sadness. But all he felt was tired. Maybe she's right, he said quietly. Claire's eyes widened. You're not even going to fight for us? Would it matter? You saw those kids yesterday. They're mine, Claire, and I can't pretend they don't exist. I'm not asking you to, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. I'm asking you to choose me, choose our future together. What kind of future can we have when part of my heart is in Denver? He sat down beside her. You deserve someone who's all in. I can't be that person right now. Maybe not ever, he thought but didn't say. Claire was quiet for a long time. Then she slipped off her engagement ring and set it on his coffee table. I really thought we could make this work, she said, tears in her eyes. So did I, he said honestly. I'm sorry. She left, and Junwoo was alone with his thoughts, and the ring that represented a future he'd never really wanted. He thought about calling Camila, but what would he say? He'd just broken his engagement, upended his life, and he still didn't know if she'd ever forgive him. Instead, he called his assistant, Min Seo. I need you to clear my schedule for next weekend, he said. I'm going to Denver. Denver? Sir, you have the investor meeting. Reschedule it. This is more important. When he hung up, he opened his laptop and started researching co-parenting schedules, custody agreements, how to build a relationship with toddlers who didn't know you existed, how to fix the biggest mistake of his life. The week dragged by like molasses in winter. Junwoo threw himself into work, trying to distract himself from the constant gnawing anxiety in his gut, but every meeting felt pointless, and every email felt trivial. His real life was waiting for him in Denver. 3 small faces he couldn't stop thinking about. Tuesday afternoon, his mother showed up at his office unannounced. She swept past Min Seo without a word, her Chanel suit perfect as always, her disapproval radiating like heat. Claire told me you ended things, she said, closing his office door with a sharp click. Junwoo didn't look up from his computer. She was going to end it anyway. Because you chose that woman over her. I chose my children, Uma. There's a difference. His mother's laugh was sharp. Children you've never met. Children who may not even be yours. They're mine. He finally looked at her. I saw them. They have my eyes, my nose, Abeoji's birthmark. They're mine. So get a paternity test. Prove it legally. Then we'll discuss what to do. What to do? Junwoo stood, anger finally breaking through his careful control. They're not a problem to solve. They're people. Your grandchildren. Grandchildren? His mother's voice turned icy. I don't know those children. I don't know that woman. And frankly, if she'd wanted you involved, she would have told you she was pregnant. The fact that she hid them for 2 years tells me everything I need to know about her character. She hid them because of you, Junwoo shouted, because you made her feel like garbage, because you told her she wasn't good enough for this family. She wasn't. Stop. He slammed his hand on the desk. I'm done, Uma. I'm done letting you control my life. I'm done choosing your approval over my own happiness. If you can't accept Camila and the kids, then maybe you can't accept me either. His mother's face went pale. You don't mean that. I do. He grabbed his coat. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting. He walked out, leaving her standing in his office and didn't look back. His hands were shaking. 32 years, he'd never stood up to his mother like that. It felt terrifying and liberating in equal measure. Min Seo caught up with him at the elevator. Sir, are you okay? No, he said honestly, but I will be. That night, he got a text from Camila. Kids keep asking about the man from the park. I showed them your photo. Keon said you look nice. His heart swelled. He texted back. Can I call them? Just to say hi? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Denver time. He barely slept that night, practicing what to say to 3 toddlers he desperately wanted to impress. When 6 p.m. rolled around the next evening, his phone rang with a video call. Camila's face appeared first, tired but smiling slightly. Hey, ready? Ready. He lied, his heart hammering. The camera shifted, and suddenly he was looking at 3 small faces crowded around the screen. Keon in the middle, Ayana on the left practically pushing into the frame, Kai on the right, looking shy. Say hi to Junwoo, Camila prompted gently. Hi, Ayana shouted, waving enthusiastically. Hi, Keon said more quietly. Kai just stared with those familiar dark eyes. Hi, Junwoo managed, his throat tight. It's really nice to meet you all. Properly, I mean. Mama says you're our daddy, Ayana announced. Do you have toys? Camila laughed softly. Ayana, we talked about this. It's okay, Junwoo said quickly. And yes, I have toys. Well, I will have toys. For when you visit. When can we visit? Ayana demanded. Soon, Camila interjected. But first, Junwoo is going to visit us, right? Right. This weekend, actually, if that's still okay. We're having pizza Friday, Keon offered, warming up a bit. Do you like pizza? I love pizza, Junwoo said, even though he rarely ate it. What kind do you like? Cheese, all three shouted in unison, and Junwoo laughed for the first time in days. They talked for 20 minutes. Ayana showed him her favorite, stuffed elephant. Keon demonstrated how high he could count, making it to 17 before getting confused. Kai mostly watched, but near the end, he leaned close to the camera and said softly, Bye-bye, Daddy. Junwoo's eyes burned. Bye-bye, Kai. See you soon. When Camila took back the phone, she was smiling for real this time. They liked you. I liked them too, he said, voice rough. Camila, thank you. For this. For giving me a chance. Don't thank me yet, she said, but her tone was gentler. You still have to actually show up. Prove you're serious. I will, he promised. I am. After they hung up, he sat in his quiet penthouse and cried, relief, regret, hope, fear. Everything hitting at once. Those were his children, his. And in a few days, he'd get to hold them, play with them, be their father. If he didn't screw it up. Friday morning, he flew to Denver. The flight attendant noticed him gripping the armrests during takeoff and offered him a drink, but he declined. He needed to be completely sober, completely present for this. Camila had texted him the address of her apartment in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. When his taxi pulled up, he saw a modest brick building with a small playground out front. Nothing like his luxury penthouse, but it looked warm, lived in, like a real home. He knocked on apartment 3B at exactly 6 p.m., holding a bag full of gifts he'd spent hours selecting. Books, blocks, stuffed animals, everything the internet said toddlers liked. Camila opened the door, and for a moment they just looked at each other. She wore leggings and an oversized sweater, her hair in a messy bun, and she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Hi, she said. Hi. They're excited, she warned. Fair warning, it's going to be chaos. He stepped inside, and immediately 3 small bodies slammed into his legs. Ayana was talking a mile a minute about the pizza they'd ordered. Keon was tugging his hand toward a pile of blocks in the corner, and Kai was just hugging his leg, silent but solid. Junwoo knelt down, bringing himself to their level, and felt something in his chest crack wide open. Hi guys, he said, his voice breaking. You came, Ayana announced. Mama said you would, but I wasn't sure. I promised, didn't I? He looked up at Camila, who was watching with a cautious expression. I always keep my promises. The evening was everything and nothing like he'd imagined. The kids dragged him around the small apartment, showing him their room with its 3 toddler beds arranged in a row, their toy box overflowing with mismatched dolls and trucks, their bookshelf filled with worn picture books. Mama reads to us every night, Keon explained seriously. 3 books, 1 for each of us. That sounds perfect, Junwoo said. Dinner was chaos. Ayana got pizza sauce in her hair. Kai refused to eat his crust. Keon asked approximately 700 questions about everything from why the sky was blue to whether Junwoo had ever seen a real dinosaur. But under the chaos was something warm and right, like pieces of a puzzle finally clicking into place. After dinner, Camila herded the kids toward the bathroom for baths. You can wait in the living room, she told Junwoo. This part gets messy. But he followed anyway, watching as she expertly wrangled 3 slippery toddlers into and out of the tub, her movements practiced and efficient. She was an amazing mother. He could see it in every gentle word, every patient explanation, every kiss she pressed to their damp foreheads. "Storytime," she announced when they were all in pajamas. The kids piled onto the couch, leaving a space in the middle. Keon patted it. "You sit here, Daddy." Daddy. The word still felt surreal, precious, terrifying. Junwoo sat, and immediately had 3 warm little bodies pressed against him. Camila handed him a book, The Gruffalo, and raised an eyebrow. "You read it," she said. "Let's see if you can do the voices." He did his best, making up silly voices for the mouse and the fox and the gruffalo. The kids giggled, Ayana correcting him when he got words wrong, Keon pointing at pictures, Kai's thumb creeping into his mouth as his eyes grew heavy. By the time he finished the 3rd book, Kai was asleep against his chest. Keon's head was nodding. Ayana was still fighting it, but her blinks were getting longer. "Bedtime," Camila said softly, and somehow they managed to transfer all 3 kids to their beds without anyone fully waking up. Junwoo stood in the doorway of their room, watching them sleep, and felt his heart break and heal at the same time. 2 years. He'd missed 2 years of this. "Come on," Camila whispered, touching his arm gently. "Let them sleep." They went back to the living room. She made tea while he sat on the couch, still processing everything. When she joined him, handing him a mug, he noticed how close she sat. Not touching, but close enough that he could smell her familiar perfume. "You did good tonight," she said quietly. "They're incredible," he replied. "You're incredible, raising them alone all this time." "I wasn't completely alone. My aunt helped when she could. And I had a good support system in Denver." She sipped her tea. "But yeah, it was hard. Especially in the beginning when they were so small and I was so scared." "Tell me about it," he said. "The beginning. I want to know everything I missed." So she did. She told him about finding out she was pregnant a week after quitting. The shock of discovering it was triplets at her first ultrasound, the fear when they were born early and so tiny. She told him about sleepless nights and endless feedings, about the first time they smiled, the first time they slept through the night, the first wobbly steps. "Keon walked first," she said with a small smile. "Of course. He's always trying to keep up with his siblings. Then Ayana, because she refused to be left behind. Kai took his time, but when he finally did it, he just walked right over and hugged me." Junwoo listened, aching with every word. "I should have been there." "Yeah," she agreed. "You should have. But you weren't, and we survived. The question is, where do we go from here?" "I want to be part of their lives," he said immediately. "However that looks. I'll fly here every weekend if I have to. I'll move to Denver. Whatever it takes." "You'd move to Denver?" She sounded skeptical. "What about your company? Your family?" "I can run the company from anywhere, and my family." He set down his mug. "My mother and I aren't speaking right now. Because of this. Because of you and the kids." Camila's expression flickered with something he couldn't read. "Junwoo, I don't want to be the reason you lose your family." "You're not. She is. For being stubborn and cruel and refusing to see what's right in front of her." He turned to face her fully. "I should have stood up to her 2 years ago. Should have told her that you were the best thing that ever happened to me. Should have fought for us." "We weren't an us," Camila said quietly. "We were a secret. And almost." "I know. And I hate that I made you feel that way. But Camila, if you give me another chance, not with you necessarily, I know I don't deserve that, but with the kids, I promise I'll do better. I'll be the father they deserve." She studied him for a long moment. "I believe you want to be, but wanting and doing are different things. Being a parent isn't about big gestures or expensive gifts. It's about showing up for the boring stuff, the hard stuff. The 3 a.m. nightmare and the tantrums in grocery stores and the endless patience. Then teach me, he said. Let me learn. I'm not asking you to trust me right away. I'm asking you to let me prove myself. Okay, she finally said. But I have conditions. Anything? First, we do a paternity test. Legal and official. Not because I doubt they're yours, but because they deserve to have it documented. Done. Second, we set up a formal custody agreement. Something that protects them and protects us. I'm not doing this informally. I already have my lawyer working on it. And third, she took a breath. You don't get to waltz in and out of their lives when it's convenient. If you're in, you're in. That means being there for doctor's appointments and preschool conferences and all the stuff that isn't fun. I want all of it, Junwoo said firmly. The fun stuff and the hard stuff. Everything. We'll see, she said, but she didn't sound entirely unconvinced. They talked for another hour, ironing out logistics. He'd come back in 2 weeks. In the meantime, they'd set up regular video calls so the kids could get used to him. Eventually, maybe, they could work out a schedule where the kids visited Austin, but that was months away at minimum. I should go, he finally said, even though he didn't want to. Let you get some sleep. She walked him to the door. The dim light of her hallway. She looked younger, more like the woman he'd fallen in love with. Junwoo, she said as he stepped into the hall. For what it's worth, I'm sorry too. For shutting you out. For not giving you a chance to step up. Maybe I didn't give you enough credit. You gave me exactly what I'd earned, he said. But I'm going to earn more, I promise. He leaned down and pressed a soft kiss to her forehead, the way he used to when they were together. She didn't pull away. Good night, Camila. Good night. He made it halfway to his hotel before he had to pull over, overwhelmed by everything. His kids, his beautiful, perfect kids. And Camila, who was stronger and braver than he'd ever been. He was going to fix this, whatever it took. Back in Austin on Monday, reality crashed back in. His mother had called an emergency board meeting, ostensibly about the merger but really about his erratic behavior. He sat through 2 hours of thinly veiled criticism and concerned trolling before finally losing his patience. If this is about my personal life, he said, cutting off his mother mid-sentence, then say so. Stop pretending it's about business. The room went silent. His mother's face turned to stone. Your personal life is affecting business, she said coldly. You broke your engagement to a suitable woman. You're flying to Denver every other weekend. You're distracted and unfocused. I'm focused on what matters, Junwoo replied. My children. Children you've known for all of 2 weeks, his uncle interjected. Junwoo, we're worried about you. This woman clearly has an agenda. Stop. He stood. Camila doesn't have an agenda. She didn't ask for child support. She didn't demand anything. She's been raising my children alone for 2 years while I lived in ignorant bliss. If anyone should be judged here, it's me. Then why didn't she tell you? His mother demanded. Because she was afraid, he shouted. Because you made her feel worthless. Because I was too weak to protect her from your judgment. So if you want to blame someone, blame yourself. He walked out. Minseo caught up with him outside the boardroom. Sir, they're going to try to remove you as CEO. Let them try, Junwoo said grimly. I own 40% of the company. They can't touch me without a fight. But the warning stayed with him. His family was willing to go to war over this. Over 3 innocent children who'd done nothing wrong except have the audacity to exist. That night, he video called the kids again. They were getting ready for bed, hyped up on sugar from the cookies Camila's aunt had brought over. Ayana showed him a drawing she'd made. A stick figure family with 4 tall people and 3 short ones. That's you, she said, pointing to one of the tall figures. "You're with us now." His throat closed up. "Yeah, sweetheart. I am." After the kids went to bed, Camila stayed on the call. She looked exhausted. "Rough day?" he asked. "Ayana had a meltdown at the grocery store. Kai got into my makeup. Keon discovered he can climb the bookshelf." She rubbed her eyes. "So, Tuesday. I wish I could help." "You can. Keep showing up." She smiled tiredly. "They're already getting attached to you. Keon asked if you could come to his preschool for show and tell." Junwoo's heart swelled. "When?" "Next month. It's a big step, Junwoo. Meeting their teachers, their friends, being publicly their father." "I want to," he said immediately. "I want everyone to know they're mine." Something shifted in her expression. "Your mother won't like that." "My mother doesn't get a vote anymore." He leaned back against his couch. "She's threatening to have me removed as CEO. Can you believe that? Because I want to know my own children." "Junwoo." Camila's voice softened. "If this is causing problems for you—" "It's not," he interrupted. "Or rather, it is. But I don't care. They're worth it. You're worth it." She looked away. "Don't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because it's confusing. We're not together, Junwoo. We're co-parenting. That's all." "Is it?" he asked quietly. She met his eyes through the screen. "It has to be. For now. Maybe forever. I can't risk my heart on you again only to have you choose your family over us when things get hard." "I won't," he said. "You already did once." The words hung between them, true and painful. "Then let me prove I've changed," he said. "Not with words, with actions, with time." She was quiet for a long moment. "Okay. But Junwoo, don't expect me to just fall back into your arms. What we had before, that's gone. If we build something new, it has to be different. Stronger." "I know," he said, "and I'm willing to put in the work, however long it takes." After they said goodnight, he sat in the dark and thought about what she'd said. She was right to be cautious, right to protect her heart. He'd proven once that he wasn't trustworthy when things got tough, but that was going to change. Starting now. The next morning, he called his lawyer. "I want to draft a new will. Everything goes to Keon, Ayana, and Kai. Set up trust funds for their education, their future, everything." David whistled low. "Your mother is going to lose her mind." "Probably. Do it anyway." He also called a real estate agent in Denver. "I need a house. 4 bedrooms minimum, good school district, yard for kids to play in." "You're moving to Denver?" the agent asked, surprised. "Eventually. For now, I need a place to stay when I visit. Make it feel like home." Over the next 2 weeks, he flew to Denver every weekend. He learned their routines, their quirks, their favorite bedtime stories. He learned that Keon was terrified of the dark, that Ayana refused to eat anything green, that Kai had a stuffed bunny named Hoppy that went everywhere. He learned how to change diapers. They were mostly potty trained, but accidents happened. He learned how to negotiate with a stubborn toddler, how to distract them from tantrums, how to make them giggle until they couldn't breathe. And slowly, carefully, he learned how to be a father. On his 3rd visit, Camila let him put the kids to bed alone. He read them their 3 stories, tucked them in, kissed each forehead. "Love you, Daddy," Ayana mumbled, already half asleep. Junwoo stood frozen in the doorway, those 3 words hitting him like a truck. When he came back to the living room, Camila was smiling. "She's been practicing that all day," she admitted. "She said she loves me?" he said, voice breaking. "Yeah, they all do. Whether you're ready for it or not." He sat beside her on the couch, closer than usual. "I'm ready. I've been ready my whole life," I just didn't know it. Camila turned to look at him, and for the first time since she'd left, he saw something soft in her eyes. Something that looked almost like forgiveness. "You're doing really well," she said quietly. "Better than I expected, honestly." "Is that a compliment?" "Don't let it go to your head." But she was smiling. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the TV playing some mindless show neither of them was watching. Junwoo's phone buzzed with a text from his mother, probably another angry message about his abandonment of the family. He ignored it. "Can I ask you something?" Camila said suddenly. "Anything." "What happened with Claire?" "Really?" Junwoo considered his answer carefully. "I realized I was marrying her for all the wrong reasons. My mother approved. My board approved. She fit into my life perfectly. But I didn't love her. Not the way—" He stopped. "Not the way what?" Camila prompted. "Not the way I loved you," he finished quietly. "Not the way I still love you." She sucked in a breath. "Junwoo." "I know," he said quickly. "I know you're not ready to hear that. Probably won't ever be ready. But it's true. It's been true since the day you walked into my office asking for a job, and it'll be true until the day I die." Camila stood abruptly. "I think you should go." "Camila." "No." She wrapped her arms around herself. "You can't just say things like that and expect— I need time. Space. This is too much." He stood too, his heart sinking. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to push." "You did mean to. You meant every word." She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "And that's what scares me. Because part of me wants to believe you. Part of me wants to fall back into you and pretend the past 2 years didn't happen. But they did happen, Junwoo. And I can't forget that." "I don't want you to forget," he said desperately. "I just want a chance to make new memories. Better ones." She shook her head. "Just go. Please." He went, his heart in pieces. But the next morning she texted, "The kids are asking when you're coming back. Tell them yourself on tonight's call." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. And for now, that would have to be enough. November rolled into Denver with early snow, and Junwoo found himself navigating icy sidewalks while carrying 3 excited toddlers toward the Children's Museum. Camila walked beside him, hands shoved in her pockets, watching him struggle with an amused expression. "You're going to drop someone," she predicted. "I'm not," he insisted, even though Ayana was squirming like an eel and Kai had somehow gotten his hand stuck in Junwoo's scarf. Keon, ever the diplomat, patted his shoulder. "Put us down, Daddy, we can walk." The moment their feet hit the ground, all 3 took off running toward the museum entrance. Junwoo and Camila chased after them, laughing and breathless by the time they corralled everyone inside. The museum was packed with weekend families, but the kids didn't care. They dragged Junwoo from exhibit to exhibit. The water tables where Ayana promptly soaked herself, the building blocks where Keon constructed an elaborate tower, the music room where Kai discovered a tiny piano and refused to leave. "You're going to have to buy him a keyboard," Camila said, watching Kai plunk out random notes with intense concentration. "Done," Junwoo said immediately. She laughed. "You can't just buy them everything they want." "Watch me." But when Ayana asked for a $50 stuffed giraffe at the gift shop, Camila intervened. "Nice try, baby girl, but we have plenty of stuffed animals at home." "But I don't have a giraffe," Ayana whined. "Then we'll go to the zoo and see a real one," Camila countered, and somehow that satisfied her. Junwoo watched the exchange with admiration. She made parenting look easy, even when it clearly wasn't. He was still learning the balance between spoiling them and setting boundaries, still figuring out when to say yes and when to hold firm. They grabbed lunch at a nearby diner, cramming into a booth designed for 4. The kids colored on their paper placemats while Junwoo and Camila attempted adulty Conversation. So I signed the lease, he said casually, on a house in Stapleton. Camila's crayon paused mid-stroke. You what? Signed a lease. 4 bedrooms, big backyard, 10 minutes from your place. I can move in next month. Junwoo, that's... She looked stunned. That's huge. What about Austin? I'm keeping my penthouse for now, but I'll be spending most of my time here. Minseo can handle the day-to-day stuff, and I can fly back for important meetings. He met her eyes. I told you I was serious about this. About them. I know, but moving here? That's a big commitment. They're worth a big commitment, he said simply. Something complicated crossed her face. Pride, maybe. Or fear. Or both. Before she could respond, Kai knocked over his juice and chaos ensued, but Junwoo caught her smile as she mopped up the spill. Later that week, he flew back to Austin for a board meeting he couldn't avoid. His mother was waiting in his office when he arrived, her expression carved from ice. We need to talk, she said. No, we really don't. I've been patient, she continued as if he hadn't spoken. I've given you time to come to your senses. But this has gone far enough. You're moving to Denver? For some children you barely know? They're my children, Junwoo said, hanging up his coat. And yes, I'm moving. Not for them, but to be near them. There's a difference. You're destroying your reputation over this. My reputation will survive. What about your responsibilities here? To the company? To this family? I can do my job from Denver just fine. As for this family... He turned to face her fully. What family, The one that's trying to control my life? The one that can't accept my children? That's not family. That's a prison. Her hand moved so fast he barely saw it coming. The slap echoed in the quiet office, sharp and shocking. They stared at each other, his cheek stinging, her hand trembling. Get out, he said quietly. Get out of my office and don't come back until you're ready to apologize. I'm your mother. Then act like it, he interrupted. Act like a grandmother who wants to know her grandchildren. Act like a mother who cares about her son's happiness. But until you can do that, we have nothing to say to each other. She left without another word. Junwoo sat at his desk, his face burning, and called Camila. Hey, she answered. Everything okay? You sound weird. My mother just slapped me. Silence, then. Are you serious? Unfortunately, he laughed bitterly. Because I told her I'm moving to Denver. Because I chose you and the kids over her approval. Junwoo, I never asked you to. I know. But I'm doing it anyway. Because it's the right thing to do. Because I should have done it 2 years ago. He paused. Can I talk to the kids? I need to hear their voices. She put them on, and for 10 minutes he listened to Ayana's excited babble about the leaves she'd collected. Keon's serious explanation of how clouds worked, Kai's off-key humming. By the time they said goodbye, his chest didn't feel quite so tight. The paternity test results came back the next week. Official and legal. 99.9% match. Not that there had been any doubt, but seeing it in writing felt monumental. He was legally, officially, undeniably their father. He called Camila immediately. The results came in. I know. My lawyer sent me a copy. So now we can move forward with the custody agreement. Yeah. She sounded hesitant. Junwoo, about that. My lawyer drew up a proposal. Joint legal custody, but primary physical custody stays with me. You'd get them every other weekend and rotating holidays. His heart sank. Every other weekend? Camila, I'm moving to Denver to be near them, and I only get every other weekend? That's standard for... She trailed off. What did you think would happen? I thought we'd share custody. 50-50 or close to it. They're 2 years old. They need stability. Routine. I'm not shuffling them back and forth every week just because you finally decided to show up. The words stung. That's not fair. Isn't it? Her voice rose. You've been in their lives for 2 months, Junwoo. 2 months out of 26. I've been there for every scraped knee, every nightmare, every milestone. You don't just get to waltz in and demand equal custody. I'm not demanding, I'm asking. I want to be a real father to them, not a weekend visitor. Then prove you can handle it, she shot back. Prove you're committed long-term, because right now all I see is the honeymoon phase. You're showering them with gifts and attention and fun trips. But what about when it gets hard? What about when they're sick, or difficult, or boring? I'll be there, he said firmly. For all of it. We'll see. She hung up. Junwoo stared at his phone, frustration coursing through him. He understood her caution, really he did, but it felt like punishment. Like she was holding his past mistakes over his head forever. He called David. How do I fight for more custody? Honestly, you don't. Not yet. David sighed. Camila's right that courts favor established routines with young kids. You've only been involved for a couple months. If you push too hard too fast, it'll backfire. My advice? Accept the every other weekend arrangement for now, prove you're reliable, then petition for more time in 6 months or a year. That's too long. That's reality. Junwoo hung up and punched his desk hard enough that his knuckles ached. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to be making up for lost time, not negotiating for scraps. But Camila wasn't answering his calls, so he flew to Denver unannounced Friday evening. When she opened her apartment door and saw him standing there, her expression cycled through surprise, anger, and resignation. You can't just show up without calling, she said. You weren't answering. Because I'm mad at you. I know. Can I come in anyway? She stepped aside, and he found the kids already in pajamas, watching cartoons. They squealed when they saw him, piling on top of him in a tangle of small limbs and laughter. You're early, Keon said. We don't get you till tomorrow. Couldn't wait, Junwoo admitted, ruffling his hair. Missed you guys too much. After the kids went to bed, he'd gotten good at the routine now, efficient with teeth brushing and story reading and tucking in. He found Camila in the kitchen making tea. She handed him a mug without asking if he wanted one. I'm sorry, he said, for pushing, for making you feel like your boundaries don't matter. I'm sorry too, she said after a long moment. For being harsh. You're trying, I know you are. I'm just scared, he finished. Terrified, she corrected. Of you hurting them, of you leaving again, of them getting attached and then… I won't leave, he said. Camila, I swear to you I'm not going anywhere, not this time. She leaned against the counter, looking exhausted. How can you promise that? How can anyone promise that? I can't promise I'll be perfect. I'm going to mess up. Probably a lot. But I can promise I'll keep showing up. Keep trying. Keep choosing them over everything else. He set down his mug. Including my company, if it comes to that. Including my family. Including my own pride. She studied him for a long time. The custody arrangement. Would you really accept every other weekend? Even though it's less than you want? If that's what it takes to prove myself, yes. But Camila, eventually I want more. I want school pickups and bedtime stories every night and lazy Sunday mornings. I want to be a real dad, not a guest. Then earn it, she said softly. Show me you're in this for the long haul. Show them. I will. She moved closer, close enough that he could count the flecks of gold in her brown eyes. And Junwoo? Stop trying to buy their love with expensive gifts. They don't need a keyboard or a house with a pool or the latest toys. They need your time, your attention, your presence. I know, he admitted. I miss so much. I want to make up for it. You can't make up for lost time. You can only move forward. She touched his cheek briefly, the first time she'd initiated contact since she'd left. But you're doing okay. Better than okay, actually. They adore you. His hand came up to cover hers before she could pull away. And you? She pulled back gently. I'm getting there. Slowly. Don't rush me. I won't, he promised. The next day, he officially moved into his new house. It was a modest 3-story in a family-friendly neighborhood with a yard big enough for a swing set and a street quiet enough for bike riding. He'd furnished it simply. Beds for the kids' room, a couch, a TV, kitchen basics. No need for luxury when all he wanted was a space for his children to feel at home. Camila brought them over to see it. Ayana immediately claimed the room with the yellow walls. Keon liked the one with built-in shelves, and Kai didn't care as long as Hoppy the bunny approved. You really did this, Camila said, standing in the empty living room. You really moved here. I really did. Your mother must be losing her mind. Probably. I wouldn't know. We're not speaking. She looked at him with something like sympathy. Junwoo, you didn't have to burn bridges with your family for us. Yes, I did. Because they made it clear I had to choose. And I chose you. I chose them. I'll choose you every time. The kids ran through the house, their laughter echoing off bare walls, and Junwoo thought maybe this was what home was supposed to feel like. Not expensive furniture or skyline views, but small voices calling him daddy, and a woman he loved, standing in the sunlight streaming through uncurtained windows. 2 weeks later, Keon's preschool held their Thanksgiving program. Parents were invited to watch the kids perform songs and share what they were thankful for. Junwoo sat in a tiny plastic chair meant for 4-year-olds, Camila beside him, feeling more nervous than he'd ever felt in a boardroom. What if he forgets I'm here? He whispered. He won't, Camila whispered back. He's been practicing his line all week. The kids filed out in construction paper turkey hats. Keon spotted them immediately, his face lighting up. When it was his turn to speak, he stepped up to the microphone and said proudly, I'm thankful for my mama, and my sister, and my brother, and my new daddy. Emphasis on new. Emphasis on daddy. Emphasis that made every parent in the room turn to look at Junwoo with interest. He didn't care. He just beamed at his son like he'd won the Nobel Prize. After the program, other parents introduced themselves. Some had clearly heard the story. Small community, lots of gossip. But they were kind about it, welcoming him to the preschool family, making plans for playdates and birthday parties. See? Camila murmured as they walked to the car. You're part of their world now. No going back. Don't want to go back, he said, buckling Keon into his car seat. This is exactly where I want to be. That night, he cooked dinner at his house. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti and salad. But the kids ate every bite, and Camila looked relaxed in a way he rarely saw her. This is nice, she admitted, helping him wash dishes while the kids played in the living room. Feels almost normal. It is normal, he said. This is what families do. She smiled. Families, huh? Yeah. He dried a plate carefully. Camila, I know we're not together. I know I have to earn your trust back. But can I ask, is there any chance? Ever? For us? She was quiet for so long he thought she wouldn't answer. Then, ask me again in 6 months, after you've proven you're really in this. After the new parent shine wears off and you've dealt with stomach bugs and temper tantrums and all the unglamorous parts. 6 months, he repeated. Okay, I can wait 6 months. Good. She handed him another dish. Because I'm worth waiting for. And so are they. I know, he said softly. Believe me, I know. Later, after Camila and the kids had gone home, Junwoo sat in his quiet house and pulled out his phone. He scrolled to his mother's contact, hovered over it, then put the phone away. Some bridges took longer to rebuild than others, but he was learning patience, learning that some things couldn't be rushed or forced, learning that the best things in life were worth fighting for, even when the fight was long and hard and lonely. His phone buzzed with a text from Camila. "Kai's asking when you're coming over again. Apparently your spaghetti is better than mine." He smiled. "Tomorrow? I could bring breakfast. They'll hold you to that. Pancakes. No substitutions. Pancakes it is." He set his phone down and looked around his half-empty house. It wasn't much yet, but it was becoming something. A foundation. A future. And for the first time in 2 years, Junwoo felt like maybe he was exactly where he was supposed to be. December in Denver meant real snow, the kind that piled up on sidewalks and required actual winter coats, not the pathetic dusting Austin sometimes got. Junwoo learned to shovel driveways and scrape ice off windshields, learned which roads to avoid during morning commutes, learned that 3 toddlers plus fresh snow equaled absolute chaos. "Higher, Daddy!" Ayana shrieked from the sled he was pulling around his backyard. "Go faster!" "Any faster and you'll fly off," he warned, but he picked up speed anyway. Keon was building what he called a snow laboratory in the corner, complete with stick instruments and rock specimens. Kai had discovered eating snow and refused to stop, despite Camila's warnings about yellow snow and germs. "They're going to be wired for hours," Camila predicted from the porch, wrapped in a blanket and sipping hot chocolate. "Worth it," Junwoo called back. They'd fallen into a routine over the past month. He had the kids every other weekend like the custody agreement specified, but he spent most weeknights at Camila's too, helping with dinner and bedtime. She never asked him to leave anymore, never reminded him that he was technically a guest. They'd found an easy rhythm, something that felt almost like family. Almost. The kids came inside eventually, red-cheeked and soaked through. Junwoo helped peel off wet layers while Camila started bathwater. They worked together like a machine now, efficient and synchronized. "Your mother called me," Camila said casually as they wrangled 3 slippery bodies into the tub. Junwoo's hands stilled. "What?" "Your mother. She tracked down my number somehow and called yesterday." "What did she say?" "That she wanted to meet. Her and the kids." Camila grabbed the baby shampoo. "I told her I'd think about it." "You don't have to," Junwoo said quickly, "if you're not comfortable." "Actually, I think maybe I should." She lathered Kai's hair, careful around his eyes. "For them. They should know their grandmother, even if she's difficult?" "I was going to say cold, but difficult works too." She rinsed Kai's hair. "But Junwoo, if she starts that trash again, if she says one cruel thing to these babies, I'm done. No second chances." "Understood." He felt something warm bloom in his chest. "You're really willing to try? After everything?" "I'm not doing it for her. I'm doing it for them. And maybe," she glanced at him, "maybe a little bit for you too." The meeting was scheduled for the following weekend at a neutral location, a family restaurant with a play area. Junwoo's mother flew in from Austin, bringing his father who'd been largely absent from the drama but showed up when summoned. Junwoo met them in the parking lot, blocking their path to the entrance. "Before we go in," he said firmly, "we need to establish ground rules." His mother's eyebrow arched. "Ground rules? You will be kind. You will be respectful. You will not make any comments about Camila's background, race, or anything else. You will not question her parenting. You will not try to take over. Is that clear?" "I'm their grandmother." "You're a stranger to them," Junwoo interrupted. "A stranger who hurt their mother. So yes, ground rules. Take it or leave it." His father put a hand on his mother's arm. We understand, son. We'll behave. Inside, Camila was already seated with the kids, who were coloring on paper placemats. She looked beautiful and nervous in a simple blue dress, her hair styled in a way he rarely saw. She'd dressed up for this, he realized, put in effort despite her reservations. Abeoji, this is Camila, Junwoo said formally. And these are Keon, Ayana, and Kai. His mother's face did something complicated when she looked at the kids. Shock, maybe, at how much they resembled both Junwoo and his father. Her hand trembled slightly as she sat down. Hello, she said stiffly. Hi, the kids chorused, less enthusiastically than usual. They'd picked up on the tension. The first 20 minutes were awkward. His mother asked polite, surface-level questions. His father was warmer, asking about their favorite colors and foods, but even he seemed uncertain. The kids responded but stayed close to Camila, wary of these strange adults. Then Ayana, never one for subtlety, announced, Mama says you're mean. The table went silent. Ayana. Camila's face flushed. We talked about this. But you did say it, Ayana insisted. You said she was mean to you and made Daddy sad. Junwoo's mother paled. His father cleared his throat uncomfortably. His mother started, then stopped. She looked at Camila, really looked at her, for the first time. I was mean to you. I said terrible things. I'm sorry. Camila's eyes widened. Junwoo nearly fell out of his chair. I was wrong, his mother continued, her voice shaking. I judged you without knowing you. I tried to control my son's life instead of trusting him. And because of that, I missed 2 years with my grandchildren. I can't get that time back. But I'm asking if we can start over. Camila studied her for a long moment. Why now? What changed? I saw photos, his mother admitted, that Junwoo posted online, of him with the children, and I saw his face. How happy he looked. Happier than I've seen him in years. Maybe ever. She wiped her eyes carefully. I realized I was losing my son because I couldn't let go of my own prejudices, and that these children, my grandchildren, were growing up without me. One photo changed your mind? Camila sounded skeptical. Many photos. Many weeks of Junwoo refusing my calls. Many nights lying awake wondering if I'd destroyed my relationship with my only child. She reached across the table, not quite touching Camila's hand. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I haven't earned it. But I'm asking for a chance. To know them. To know you. To be better. Keon, the peacemaker, piped up. Mama says everyone deserves chances. Right, Mama? Camila's expression softened. Right, baby. She looked at Junwoo's mother. Okay, a chance. But hurt them, hurt him again, and we're done. No negotiations. Understood, his mother said. The rest of lunch was lighter. The kids warmed up when Junwoo's father showed them magic tricks with coins. His mother was awkward but trying, asking genuine questions and listening to their rambling answers. By dessert, Ayana was showing her the drawing she'd made, and even Kai had climbed into her lap briefly before getting distracted by ice cream. When they walked to the parking lot afterward, his mother pulled Junwoo aside. She's remarkable, she said quietly. Camila, the way she is with them, the way she's raised them alone. I was wrong about her. Completely wrong. I know, Junwoo said. Do you love her? I never stopped. His mother nodded slowly. Then don't make my mistakes. Don't let pride or fear keep you from fighting for her. Life's too short, and regret is too heavy. She hugged him, quick and tight, then got in her car. Junwoo stood in the cold parking lot, watching them drive away, feeling like maybe, finally, something had shifted. Back at Camila's apartment, the kids were exhausted from the emotional day. They went down easy, barely making it through one story before conking out. Junwoo found Camila on the couch, staring at nothing. "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside her. "Your mother apologized," she said wonderingly. I never expected." "Neither did I. She really wants to know them. And you. She wants to know you too." Camila turned to him. "This is weird, right? All of this. 6 months ago, we hadn't seen each other in 2 years, and now we're co-parenting, and your mother's apologizing, and you're living down the street. Weird good or weird bad? Just weird." She tucked her feet under her. "But maybe okay weird. Maybe good weird." "Good weird," he agreed. They sat in silence for a while, the comfortable kind they'd developed over late nights and early mornings. Finally, Camila spoke. "I've been thinking about what you asked. About us. About whether there could ever be an us again." Junwoo's heart rate kicked up. "Yeah? I'm not ready to jump back into a relationship. I'm still scared. Still guarding my heart. But," she took a breath, "but I think maybe I could get there. Eventually. If we take it slow." "How slow?" "Glacially slow. Like maybe we go on an actual date. Just the two of us. No kids. And see how that feels." "A date," Junwoo repeated, trying not to sound too eager. "I can do a date." "One date doesn't mean we're together," she warned. "It just means we're exploring the possibility." "I'll take it." He grinned. "When?" "Friday? My aunt can watch the kids." "It's a date." She rolled her eyes, but smiled. "Don't make a big deal out of it. Just dinner and conversation, like normal people." "Normal people who have 3 kids and a complicated history?" "Exactly like that." Friday took forever to arrive. Junwoo changed outfits 3 times before settling on dark jeans and a sweater. He showed up at Camila's door with flowers, yellow roses, her favorite, hoping she'd remember. She opened the door in a red dress that made his brain short-circuit, and smiled when she saw the flowers. "You remembered," she said softly. "I remember everything about you." They went to a small Italian restaurant in the Highlands, the kind with checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. Nothing fancy, but cozy and intimate. They talked about everything and nothing. Books they'd read, shows they'd watched, memories from when they'd been together before. "Do you remember the night we got locked on the roof?" Camila asked, laughing. "How could I forget? We were up there for 4 hours. And you were convinced we'd freeze to death even though it was 70 degrees. I was being cautious," he defended. "You were being dramatic." She sipped her wine. "But sweet. You gave me your jacket and tried to build a shelter out of an old tarp. And you made fun of me the entire time. Because it was funny. You're this brilliant businessman who can negotiate million-dollar deals, but you can't pick a simple lock. In my defense, it was a very complicated lock." They laughed together, easy and light, and Junwoo felt something click into place. This was what he'd missed. Not just the romance or the passion, but the friendship. The easy companionship. The way she made everything feel brighter. After dinner, they walked through downtown Denver, looking at Christmas lights and window displays. At some point, their hands found each other, fingers intertwining naturally. "This feels right," Camila said quietly. "It does." "I'm still scared," she admitted. "Of getting hurt again, of trusting you and having you disappear." "I won't disappear," he promised. "I'm here, Camila. I'm staying." "Promise?" "Promise." He stopped walking, turning to face her. "I know I messed up before. I know I let you down. But I'm not that person anymore. Or maybe I am. But I'm choosing differently now. Choosing better. Choosing you." She looked up at him, snow starting to fall around them like a movie scene. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "If you had to choose, right now, between me and your company, which would it be?" "You," he said without hesitation. "Every time. The company is just work. You're my life." She smiled, tears in her eyes. "Okay. Okay. I believe you." He leaned down, giving her time to pull away, and pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead. Then her cheek. Then the corner of her mouth. Asking permission with every touch. When she tilted her face up, he kissed her properly for the first time in 2 years. Soft and sweet and full of promise. No demands. No pressure. Just connection. "Slowly," she reminded him when they broke apart. "Slowly," he agreed, resting his forehead against hers. "I can do slow." They walked back to his car hand in hand, making plans for another date next week, talking about introducing the kids to the idea of mama and daddy spending time together. It felt natural, inevitable, like pieces finally fitting together the way they were always meant to. When he dropped her off, she kissed him goodnight on her doorstep, brief but meaningful. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For not giving up. For showing up. For proving me wrong about second chances." "Thank you for giving me one," he said. Over the next month, they dated properly. Dinners and movies and long walks. They kept it from the kids initially, not wanting to confuse them. But eventually Ayana caught them holding hands and announced, "Mama and Daddy are in love with great authority." The kids were thrilled. They'd been hoping for this. In their small, innocent way, Keon made them both drawings of their family with everyone smiling. Kai started calling them Mama and Daddy as one word, like they came as a set. Christmas morning, Junwoo woke up in his own house but drove straight to Camila's, where the kids were already tearing into presents. She'd invited him to spend the day, and he'd brought enough food to feed an army. His mother and father came too, bearing gifts and apologies and the beginning of a real relationship with their grandchildren. His father taught Keon how to play chess. His mother read stories to Ayana and Kai with surprising tenderness. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. "This is good," Camila said, watching from the kitchen as Junwoo carved the turkey. "Really good." "Yeah? Yeah." She wrapped her arms around him from behind. "We're going to be okay. All of us." "Better than okay," he said, turning to kiss her. "We're going to be great." That night, after everyone had gone home and the kids were asleep, Junwoo pulled out a small box. Not an engagement ring, too soon for that, but a necklace with 3 small birthstones representing Keon, Ayana, and Kai. "For the best mother I know," he said, fastening it around her neck. She touched the stones gently. "Junwoo, I love you," he said simply. "I love you, and I love them. And I'm not going anywhere. Ever." "I love you too," she whispered. "I didn't want to. Didn't want to risk it, but I do. I love you." They stood in her small kitchen, holding each other while snow fell outside, and their children slept peacefully down the hall. It wasn't the fairy tale ending Junwoo had once imagined. It was better. Messier and harder one, and absolutely real. 6 months later, on a warm June evening, Junwoo proposed properly. Not in some fancy restaurant or exotic location, but in his backyard while the kids played on the swing set he'd installed. Camila said yes through happy tears, and the kids mobbed them both, shrieking with excitement. His mother cried at the wedding. His father walked Camila down the aisle since her own father had passed years before. The kids were flower girl and ring bearers, solemn and adorable in their fancy clothes. When the officiant said they were a family, legally and officially, Ayana shouted "finally," and everyone laughed. It wasn't perfect. They still fought sometimes about schedules and parenting styles, and whose turn it was to handle midnight nightmares. His mother still made occasional thoughtless comments that required gentle correction. The company still demanded time and attention, but they made it work. Together. And on the hard days when Junwoo felt overwhelmed or inadequate, he'd remember that day in the park. The moment he saw 3 small faces that changed everything. The moment he chose to be brave instead of safe. The moment he became a father. "Daddy, push me higher," Ayana called from the swing. "Coming, sweetheart," he called back. Camila squeezed his hand. "You good?" "I'm perfect," he said honestly, "right where I'm supposed to be." And he was. If this story touched your heart, drop a comment below and let me know which moment hit you the hardest. Don't forget to subscribe for more emotional journeys that remind us love is always worth fighting for. Your support means everything.